Today I'm going to introduce law. We will look mainly at the definition of law and its characteristics. This lesson defines law. It explains the key terms and phrases in the definition. It provides the key points to include in your definition of law if you may be required to write one. It outlines the characteristics of law, and lastly, it lists the popular exam questions relating to this lesson. Now, let's look at the definition of law. Law is the body of customs and rules governing human conduct of a community, which is formally recognized as binding among those persons who constitute that community, and those rules are enforced by a controlling authority in that community. I believe for you to clearly understand the meaning of law, we will have to look at the key words and phrases making up the definition. The first word we will look at is customs. Take note, guys, I will just give a summary on customs. A full lesson on customs is available on this channel. Customs are one of the sources of laws. So, customs are habitual ways of doing things followed by people in a community. The customs are followed by many people for many years in that area until it becomes a requirement to follow those customs. Laws are purposefully established, while customs are naturally established with time. That is, customs are like norms followed repeatedly and naturally in the community until it is no longer only a norm, but everyone is required to follow those customs. So, customary laws are customs which are considered as legally binding on people in a particular community or state. They are accepted as legal requirements and obligatory rules of conduct, and failure to follow them, certain punishment is definite. For example, a customary marriage. A customary marriage is one which is negotiated, celebrated and concluded according to any indigenous African customs. Usually lobola, which is a bride price, is paid. Marriage is witnessed and concluded by two families, that is, of the bride and the groom. A traditional ceremony with food and drink may also be done. The paying of lobola by the groom shows that the bride has truly been given to the groom's family, and the families becomes relatives instantly after that ceremony. That is a customary marriage. Next, we will look at the phrase governing human conduct. Laws govern the human conduct of citizens of the state. Citizens are told what to do and what not to do in various situations by the law. Therefore, their actions will be in accordance to the law. All citizens are expected to follow all these rules while in that state. Failure to comply, stipulated punishment is given to all lawbreakers. The next word we are going to look at is enforced, which simply means laws ensure that all the laws are followed by citizens. Obedience to the laws is required and forced. And failure to obey those laws, punishment is specified as we said before. And lastly, we will look at the controlling authority. That is our next phrase. Controlling authority refers to a person or a group of people who were given the power by the government to restrict, govern, monitor and control people to obey the law. The controlling authority, you should take note that it is the one which enforces the laws. So law enforcement is done by the controlling authority. And the controlling authority include the police, local authorities and the courts. Now, if you are required to write the definition of law, your definition should in some way include the following points: bodies of rules governing human conduct, recognized as binding by the state, and lastly, law is enforceable. I think these are the three major points you should include in your definition if you are required to explain or define law. Moving on from the definition, let's look now on the characteristics of law. From our definition, we have deduced that laws are a set of rules which govern human conduct. They are created and upheld by the state. They are backed by coercive authority, and violation of the laws attracts punishment. These are the characteristics of law we are talking about. I would like to explain those characteristics in detail. Firstly, laws are a set of rules which create binding and authoritative values and decisions in the state. Rules highlight what should be done and what should not be done. Secondly, laws govern human conduct. What we can do and what we must not do is set out in our laws. The law states clearly what we can do as citizens. For instance, in general, the freedoms, like the freedom of association and religious belief, or the freedom to peaceful demonstrations. In commercial law, the rights and obligations in contracts are clearly set out also in our laws. For example, the buyer should pay the purchase price always and accept the delivery of the mix or the thing being sold, as well as look out for patent defects, while the seller, on the other hand, should receive the purchase price, deliver the mix to the buyer, as well as warranty product from any latent defects. So we realize that while governing human conduct, the law also tells us what not to do. For instance, in general, rules like do not steal, murder, assault tell us what we should not do. While in commercial law, we should not defraud others or misrepresent facts. Those are some of the examples in which law governs the human conduct of people in the society. The next characteristic we are going to look at is laws are created and upheld by the state. Yes, laws are created and upheld by the state. The state manages the creation and the maintenance of the laws. You know that the laws are usually created through the legislation. So the state manages the creation of the laws and the maintenance of those laws. The state writes down the laws and makes sure that they are followed. Our fourth characteristic is law is backed by a coercive authority. The law is surely backed by a coercive or powerful authority. This is absolutely clear because we realize that in our communities or nations, there are surely people responsible for enforcing the law. These include the police and the courts. Then, lastly, violation of law attracts punishment. Surely the violation of law leads to punishment. Punishments are also prescribed by the law. Punishments for crimes are cleared out in the law. Punishments vary from fines, community service, imprisonment, and sometimes death penalty. Punishments surely vary in law. That's why we realize that a person who defrauds someone $5,000 is treated differently from the one who defrauds another $5 million. Their punishment is certainly not the same. To wind up my lesson, let us now look at the exam questions relating to this lesson. In this lesson, I've got two questions for you. The first one is define law, and the second one is what are the characteristics of law? Thank you so much for watching. Please don't forget to subscribe, comment, and like.